Hi, sorry, these are new heels, so if I fall, just ignore that. Thank you. Yep, I'm Lavanya. Hi. As I said, I'm Lavanya, and in exactly 33 days, I'm going to be graduating from this exact hall. And as I'm getting ready to graduate and be an adult for the first time in the real world, I've been thinking a lot about how we perceive ourselves and how others perceive us, even subconsciously. That's why, before I start, I would like to conduct a little experiment with you guys. If you guys could all just please close your eyes for a second. And I would like you to please picture a fireman. Okay, now I would like you to picture a nurse. Okay, now open your eyes. And could you please raise your hand if you pictured a man when I said to picture a fireman? Okay, and how many of you pictured a woman when asked to picture a nurse? See, so what this little experiment just taught us is just how ingrained gender roles are in our psyche, without us even realizing it. Our gender is such a huge part of how we're perceived, sometimes even before we meet the person. Parents throw gender reveal parties for their children and pray for a boy or a girl. Someone's pronouns and how they're described are such a big descriptor of how you visualize them. If I were to say that there's a man standing outside, chances are most of you would visualize someone wearing pants and a shirt with short hair, maybe a mustache or a beard. So what I'm trying to say is that we all have these preconceived notions about gender, and we don't even realize that we have them. And this isn't always a bad thing. But I do believe that we need to consider these notions and how deeply rooted they are in history. But before I begin, I would like to say that the Canadian Institute of Research and Development says that gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, expressions, and identities that we put out into the world. So before I go on, I just want to make it really clear that I'm referring to gender, not sex, which is your biologically defined characteristics. So going back to this, by its very definition, gender refers to the socially constructed roles, meaning that we constructed them. We put ourselves into this binary system without even realizing it. However, what we don't realize is that these traditional gender roles are so abstract and they're very much rooted in history without us even knowing it. So I'm Indian and I'm also a Hindu. One of the most prominent deities in Hinduism is Ardhanari Shiva, excuse my pronunciation. So this deity is the composite form of Shiva, who's one of the three main gods who's responsible for the creation, destruction, and upkeep of the universe, as well as Parvati, who's the goddess of love, beauty, harmony, amongst many other things, along with being extremely powerful. So this deity is meant to represent the melding together of nature and knowledge and how they can't exist without each other. And by its very name and depiction, Ardhanari Shiva is meant to be gender neutral. Ardh literally means half, and Nari literally means female. Now, I'm not particularly religious, but knowing that Hinduism is the world's oldest religion and how important these two gods are to the religion, I can understand that the fact that such a prominent deity is gender neutral shows that people have actually acknowledged this concept for way longer than we think. If you're looking for a less theological example, I would like to introduce you to the Hijra, or Kinnar community in India. They're a group of gender-neutral beings, but today you don't really see them out in public. However, before British rule in India, they were actually looked up to as the personification of Ardhanari Shiva, and they were respected. However, in the 1950s, when French explorers were exploring Pakistan, which was a part of India at the time, they drew pictures and described men who dressed like women. And this was seen as a sign of the depravity of the city. This was further intensified when India was under British rule. And the Kinnar community were labeled a criminal tribe, subject to mandatory screenings and registration. Now, even today, after independence, these rules have been repealed, but the stigma against them still remains. And people will actually use the word Hijra to offend someone or use it in a derogatory way. And these stigmas against them have led to this community living way lower quality lives than they should, as you can see from here. So what I'm trying to say from all of this is, without us even realizing, the gender binary system is so rooted in history and we don't even know it. Some ethnographers have actually gone as far as to say that the traditional gender roles of today should be considered a colonial object. The idea of the gender binary system today is very, very modern, and the reality is we've been living without it for way longer than we have. And the idea of the binary gender system of today was in fact native only to Europe and was passed around the world through the process of European colonization. And the idea of gender-neutral deities and beings isn't just seen in India. They've been seen throughout history in Africa and Latin America as well. So the point I'm trying to make with all of this is that it's so normal to us that we don't even bother giving the gender roles that we perceive as normal a second thought. But as I said before, society's been living without this gender binary for way longer than it has. So to be honest, when I started doing research for this talk and I found out about this, I got really, really mad. I've seen people I know, both online and in public, get bullied and discriminated against for not conforming to what people think is normal. And learning that this wasn't always the case really angered me. But when you think about it, the gender binary system of today actually makes perfect sense. It allows for the traditional modern family structure to be created. It facilitates the division of labor. By pushing men to go to work and provide for their family and pushing women to complete more domestic tasks, we've been able to ensure that we as a society are prosperous and economically stable. However, this has consequences for everyone involved. Because men were pushed towards a more because men were pushed to go out more and socialize, this left them with some more cultural capital, which is basically the idea that your experiences and your knowledge and what you put out into the world is what other people perceive you by. And because men were pushed out to gain new experiences, talk to new people, we started perceiving them as more worldly. Conversely, us women were left without that cultural capital. And I can speak to this fact. When I was 11, I loved One Direction. I felt like I would never be happy again when Zayn left the band on the 25th of March 2015. But when I would scream about their newest music video or their latest single, I would be told that I'm too obsessed or I need to calm down. But the boys in my grade didn't face the same thing when they were talking about their favorite football team winning. Not that that's a bad thing, of course. But what I'm trying to say is, because of this cultural capital and us perceiving women's interests as somehow lower, this creates a stigma against women, and this stops anyone from being able to express their interests, beliefs, and values without the fear of judgment. And this can manifest in extremely harmful ways. Men are pushed towards a capitalist society from such a young age, where they're forced to be successful and provide for their family, oftentimes putting financial success over emotion, once again from a very young age. And this has, the consequences of this are extremely detrimental. Studies show that not only do mental health issues get expressed more in girls than they do in boys, but in most cases, girls express them themselves. However, boys, in most cases, their parents do. This not only shows that girls are more comfortable asking for help, but it also shows that boys, even if they are comfortable asking for help, they may get dismissed or told to man up, and leading to their parents having to come and help them. This is also shown by the fact that more than 2/3 of antidepressants that are prescribed to teenagers are for girls. Once again, showing that girls are way more likely to get help, even if boys ask for it. And the consequences of this are terrifying. Teenage boys are twice more likely to kill themselves as girls are. As a teenager myself, this absolutely terrifies me. That's why I believe that it's imperative that we acknowledge the roots of the gender binary system and think about it, because that's the only way that we as a society, and especially as a younger generation, will be able to encourage others to do the same and create the most tolerant, safe, accepting society as we can. And I've seen this happening already. asking for pronouns or putting them in your bio is slowly becoming more accepted. And we are starting to have these conversations. Things like this are becoming more normalized both online and in real life settings, and extremely slowly but surely, even mainstream media sites such as TV or bigger platforms such as YouTube are starting to accept non-binary identities. That's why I believe that us as the younger generation and this conversation that we've started about identity is truly the only way that we are going to be able to make everyone in the world feel more accepted. And if we continue having these discussions about this topic and taking special care to make sure that every person feels loved and accepted, we can work towards making the best society we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavanya.